this because, oh, that's a fallacy or that's a circle or some way to wave away the academic consensus. So go to the Quran, a historical critical introduction by Nikolai Sinai. Go read that book, and it'll explain that there's a consensus on the preservation of the Quran.
Time. We'll kick it over to Jay.
Yeah, so again, maybe Daniel's not familiar with informal fallacies, but the appeal to consensus is a fallacy. Now, you might bring in the appeal to consensus to back up a claim or to demonstrate that there's evidences for a claim. It's not a proof. And so it really has nothing to do with the thing that we're debating today, because the debate is not about whether or not the Quran was written by one person. I could concede that it was, and I don't really have any opinion either way. That doesn't mean that it's true or that it has anything to do with being consistent with the religion of the prophets. So total irrelevance to the topic of the debate. And I'd like to go back to what you said as your answer to explain this with, you just see it with your eyes. Really? You think that's how epistemology works? Because I gave you your exact statements about the epistemic principle for how we know the continuity exists. And you said that the 7th century Judeo-Christian looks to see the similarities to what? To the Quran. And you just see it with your eyes. That's called circularity. And I'm surprised that you can't see this, because this is just assuming that the thing that is in question is the case, that the Quran is correct and that the Quran has continuity with prior revelation. And so you're just basically restating again that a 7th century Judeo-Christian just simply goes to see in the books of Moses or in whatever, the Gospels, the principles of the Quran already there, and anything else that's not consistent with the principle of the Quran, you arbitrarily toss away. And so that's why I keep asking you for the epistemic principle that isn't circular based on the presuppositions of the Quran's theology that lets them verify it. So you've already admitted that they go to their texts, but you said their texts are full of contradictions. On the basis of what? On the basis of what the Quran presents. But the Quran's presentation is what's in question. So you understand the burden of proof is on you with the new revelation to make it consistent with the prior revelation. That's the prior test in Deuteronomy 13 and 18. So you just keep restating again the position of the Quran. So I'm going to ask you again, how is you just see it a resolution to the problem of circularity?
And time. 2 minutes for Daniel.
No, just like if the Bible makes a claim about something, like there are unicorns, we go to the world and we see if that's the case or not. And then we determine if the Bible is correct or not. Same with the Quran. If the Quran made a claim that, Moses was a prophet who had wings and he could fly or something like that, and we don't have any historical record of that, or the Jews or Christians say, like, we don't have any concept of that, then that would be evidence for them to say that, okay, well, this is not adding up, so we don't accept the Quran. But what has happened with a lot of Jews and Christians over history is that they see that the Quran is making claims that then they, as unbelievers, go and look not only in scripture, they look to themselves, they look at their lives, they look at ayat, the signs of Allah, and then based on all of that evidence together, then they come to the conclusion that this is true or this is false. That's not circular reasoning. So the claim that, and this is why I presented in the opening statement, like these are all the similarities between Muhammad ﷺ and Moses. These are things they can be confirmed or they can be denied. And you see a lot of parallels that confirm that similarity, and that becomes a non-circular reason to accept the Quran and the claims of the Quran.
We'll give it to you, Jake. 2 minutes.
Oh, wait. Don't I have 30 seconds?
If you still wanted that last.
Yeah,
yes.
I still want the rest of it. So 7th century Christian can notice contradictions in the Bible without relying on the Quran. 7th century Christian can notice that doctrine changes over time without relying on the Quran. 7th century Christian can notice that the Trinitarian concept is illogical and polytheistic without relying on the Quran. So there's nothing circular about any of those conclusions. And again, referring to academic consensus is not circular. It's not, I can't believe that you take references to academia as circular.
I didn't say it was circular, so it's a fallacy. It's called the fallacy of consensus or the fallacy of
We'll kick it over to Jay for the start of his 2 minutes.
So I